Hello listener, you're welcome to the Nasco Moments radio talk show brought to you by Nasco, providing the quality life. It's another weekend and I hope you had a lovely week. Over the next 30 minutes, we will be engaging you in yet another interesting discussion. And our focus today will be on the state of schools, particularly private schools, now that the Ebola virus has been contained and schools have been directed to resume. Just a reminder that this is season 2 of the Nasco Moments radio talk show, and I'm still your host, Hudum Gang. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Nasco cube sugar, Nasco cube sugar, Nasco cube sugar for that sweet taste.
Nasco Cube Sugar is your favorite choice sweetener made from natural sugarcane. It is a sweet flavor and provides energy. It can be used in tea, coffee, pap, cornflakes, and a variety of beverages. Nasco Cube Sugar can be taken by anyone at any time of the day. Nasco Cube Sugar is fortified with vitamin A and liquefies very fast. Nasco Cube Sugar. For that sweet taste.
Nasco cube sugar for that sweet taste.
Nasco Cube Sugar, another quality product from Nasco.
Welcome back to the Nasco Moments radio talk show, connecting audiences within and around the city of Jos. For listeners who are just joining us, on today's discussion, we will be focusing on the state of schools in Plateau State and the aftermath of the Ebola Virus Disease. Here to discuss the subject is the president of the state chapter of the National Association of Private School Owners, Mr. Joseph Nwoke.
Thank you. Good morning, listeners.
More than what most people may realize, Plateau State has a great number of private schools. It seems there has been an increasing demand for private schools, not only in Plateau State, but throughout Nigeria. Why the increasing demand?
The Federal Ministry of Education made it possible for the demand. When they made it start, individuals and a group who wish to establish private schools have demanded to do so, as far as it will be under the laws guiding the establishment of private schools in Nigeria.
So if there wasn't, the federal ministry didn't make it open like that, we would have less demand?
Of course, because the Ministry of Education is the regulatory body of all institutions in Nigeria. So if they don't permit, you wouldn't have had it possible to open schools of such nature.
So how many registered private schools do we have, at least in this state?
Okay, in the state, there are many of them. I can't just give you a specific number. Okay. There are many of them in the state.
So do you have an idea then, the number of pupils, students we have in private schools?
Yeah, as there are as many private schools as possible, so there are many pupils and students in the private schools in the state.
So who would you say enrolls the greater number of students and pupils, the private or the public schools?
Judging from the fact that almost every part of the state, especially within the township and the local government headquarters, have more private schools than government schools, which is public schools.
Okay.
Having said so, you know from a little and common sense that private schools have more enrollment than the public schools.
What is your assessment of students' academic performance in the last 10 years? We're talking in this case about students in private schools, of course.
Of course, you know it very well. And private schools, although we are not in comparison with the public schools, but from the performances of our pupils and students from various schools we have visited, the private schools are doing marvelously well.
Okay, so you're also saying they're doing better than students in the public schools. But if they're doing better, are they really doing very well?
We have not had that forum to make an assessment because we don't have the record of the performances of public school pupils and students. But I can assure you from our record from private schools, they are doing very, very well.
Okay. What would you say is responsible for this? Administrative factors, quality of teachers, the overall learning environment, or what?
Mainly it is three of them.
Okay.
Three of the factors listed. But administratively, private schools, especially the proprietors, are always there to monitor the activities of the teachers and providing all necessary learning materials needed. So they do that promptly. And as association, we have forums where we come together to advise and educate our members. And from time to time, we do organize training and retraining workshop for our teachers and for the proprietors. Having said all this, these are some of the factors that contribute in the overall performance of better performance of private schools, private school pupils and students. And again, environmentally, it contributes too, because when you have a very conducive learning environment, it enhances the learning ability of the pupils and students.
But can we generalize and say that private schools generally have a very good learning environment for their pupils or students?
Just like a market, you can't just generally say that every part of the market is clean. But a majority of the private schools, especially those of them that are in our association,
Okay.
and those of them that probably they are not there because they have not been able to be educated on why they should be there, most of them are doing very, very well. If you go to some schools, they're looking very neat. They have all the learning equipment and materials needed for the children. I think majority of the private schools.
Okay. We have been talking to Mr. Joseph Nwoke, President of the Plateau State Chapter of the National Association of Private School Owners. In a moment, we will return. Stay tuned.
For whatever flavor you may need, so crunchy and so creamy. It's oven fresh and tasty for the young and everybody. Take a bite and get the feeling that you get what you need. For everybody, take it everywhere you go. Grab the taste of quality. Everybody say Nasco. For everybody, whatever flavor you may need, take it everywhere you go. Everybody say Nasco.
Get a range from Nasco biscuits today. Nasco cream biscuits, Nasco shortcake biscuits, Nasco cream crackers, Nasco biscuits, the king of biscuits.
Thanks for staying with us. This is the Nasco Moments radio talk show, and we are discussing the state of schools in Plateau State, and our focus is on private schools. In the next segment of our discussion, we will stay with the matter of the impact of the extension of holidays of schools as a strategy to combat the Ebola virus disease. The federal government had given a directive that all schools were to remain closed during the holidays in order that enough time would be given for the containment of the Ebola virus disease. Stakeholders in the education sector were tasked to put measures in place to create an Ebola-free school environment for children. Each state ministry of education was expected to train at least 2 officials from every school on how to handle any suspected case of Ebola, as well as embark on immediate sensitization of all teaching and non-teaching staff on preventive measures. Given this information, I'm sure parents would like to know the kind of measures you have put in place as a body to create an Ebola-free environment, Mr. Nwoke.
Okay, thank you very much. Immediately, federal government announced that schools should not reopen. We got instruction from our national body asking us to comply. In the state here, we made sure that we complied with the instruction. When the instruction also came that we should make sure that our 2 teachers are trained from our various schools, that we did by the Minister of Health and Minister of Education, Plateau State. We immediately called all proprietors of private schools in the state for an emergency meeting, which almost everyone that was around the state complied. That we did, and every school, whether registered or not registered, were at the workshop. Our teachers were trained. Then on the provision of the facilities, we as a body have made necessary arrangements to provide the required medical kits as recommended by the Minister of Health and the Minister of Education. We as the association executive, we have gone around some schools, we have sampled some schools, and we discovered that the schools we sampled have provided most of the things. The idea was that the Federal Minister of Health was going to provide the thermometer to every school, but we have waited, we have not seen. So we have now made arrangement for procurement of the thermometer for our member schools.
But if we go to your schools, what will we see physically that you have provided?
We provided the sanitizer, the water tank, where the children wash their hands, and visitors. If you go to some schools, at the gate you see it, at the center of the school you see it, at the entrance of the classes you see the students wash their hands before entering the class. Visitors, parents wash their hands before they use sanitizer. The toilets are well kept. We make sure that we have advised them that they must keep their toilets clean and space the sitting position,
so they don't
have
contact too much.
Much contact.
In the case of primary schools and maybe preschools, how can teachers communicate and explain the issue of Ebola to children between the ages of 4 to 10 in terms of identifying the symptoms of Ebola and how to keep away from it?
Teachers are experts in the communication skill. You may not actually understand how that will be done, but I want to tell you, and I'm assuring you that they are doing it perfectly well. We know how to. Okay, when you attended nursery school, you had teachers saying, "This is the way we wash our hands." Okay. The teachers know how to communicate to the children.
Okay, but in terms of the way children play a lot, there's so much contact which is unavoidable. How can you really keep them apart?
We have minimized the number of children that go out for maybe during a play period. Before, if it used to be general, we've now segmented it so that this time a number of purpose students will go out based on judging from the capacity of the playground such schools have.
All right. So even if they don't play, one way to keep away from infection is to avoid covering one's mouth with the hands when you sneeze or cough. Okay. So I wonder how many times teachers would have to remind children not to put their hands in their mouths or cover their mouths when they yawn, cough, or sneeze.
As many times as possible. That's why they are teachers.
Okay.
Teachers repeat subjects, especially when they feel the students or pupils have not understood what they have taught them. So teachers continuously repeat that until it becomes part of their lifestyle.
That will be interesting to see. We're glad that the virus has been contained because, as someone rightly observed, if the man Patrick Sawyer, who was educated, whose family and friends are believed to be educated, could not tell from his appearance that he was sick, it would have truly been near impossible for children to tell if their friends are infected or to act in a manner that would reduce the risk of the spread of the disease. Well, this is the Nasco Moments radio talk show. In a moment, we will move into the final segment of today's show. We have been discussing the impact of the closure of schools as a strategy to combat the spread of the Ebola virus disease. And our guest has been Mr. Joseph Nwoke, the Plateau State President of the National Association of Private School Owners. We'll take another commercial break, and when we return, we will announce the winner of last week's Nasco Trivia. The Nasco Moments radio show continues shortly.
Brightex white detergent, Brightex. Brightex white detergent, Brightex. For your brightest wash, Brightex. For your brightest wash, Brightex.
Ever since I discovered the secret of Britex white detergent, my clothes come fresh, bright and clean always. It's mild on clothes and good for my washing machine. Thank you, Britex.
Britex detergent cleans deep stains and dirt from your clothes, keeping it fresh and bright so your clothes don't fade. It lasts longer. Britex white detergent, a quality product from Nasco. Take the Britex advantage today and keep your clothes fresh, bright and clean.
For your brightest wash, Britex.
Britex, for the brightest wash.
Won't you ever grow up? Went to Drexel and had classes, but I never showed up. I was writing all day till my hands were hurt. Professor didn't appreciate it, called me a jerk. New boy, need to learn, but I never would. Pay attention in school is something that I never could. And know where the beat gotta be steaming, and we could work wonders over logic and reason. We on the hype, now they call it a buzz. And how we get the party poppin', Baltimore Club, MySpace, they could replay next. And you gotta have Zap for the DJ set. No matter how they replace, they could never replace us. And anyway you slicing it, homie, they came to take us. Yeah. Hey yo, Zap Fool, we back, son. We did it. Yeah. Say hello to the game. The people know my name. And do they really love us? Or is this just a fling? And we be Peter Parker in love with the Mary Jane. So many people gone, so many people came. And this that brand new spontaneous dope flow, intravenous, miscellaneous grinding. Better late than never, I'm calling it perfect timing. But we gon' have a little bit of fun, cause when it's all done, you throw your sneaks up and call it a good run. I admit that I would never rather than burn me. I don't know where I'm headed, but I know it's a journey. And my bags is packed, so can you hand me my itinerary? I get attention like a soldier in the military. This is what you gotta notice today. We promise to make sure they never throw us away.
Welcome back to the show. It's time for the Nasco Trivia. Last week we asked listeners the question, Nasco recently introduced a new packaging for one of its most favorite products. What is this product and name a feature of its packaging? To answer this correctly, you have to name the product and state the packaging. The product is Nasco Cornflakes and the packaging is the newly introduced 50 Naira package. We're glad to announce that Victoria Nenchini answered this correctly. Congratulations, Victoria. You are the first winner of Season 2 of the Nasco Trivia. As promised, you have just won an assorted gift pack, courtesy of our good friends from Nasco. You are to collect your prize at number 20, New Zaria Terrace, off New Crescent Hospital, Jos. You can also call 0805 481-2947 for more information on how to receive your prize. Again, 0805-481-2947. Remember, listener, always participate in the Nasco Trivia. The next time it could be you. Here's the question for this week. What is Nasco's mission statement? What is Nasco's mission statement? Send your answer to 0805 774 7777. Again, it's 0805 774 7777. Here's a useful tip for you. Visit Nasco's website. Please note that the Nasco trivia is a text-only trivia, which means you can only respond via text message. And don't forget to include your name and address when you send your answer. This competition, though, is not open to Nasco staff and relatives. Now to the final segment of today's show. We have been talking to Mr. Joseph Nwoke, President of the State Chapter of the National Association of Private School Owners. There are operational differences between public and private schools in terms of school management. For one, the issue of funding was said to influence the decision of private schools to resume earlier. But aside funding, we would like to look into some other realities. First, how has the extension of the holiday affected the calendar year for schools? Has it led to an extension of the school year, or would you have to compress the workload into the time left in the school year?
Okay, thank you for that question. We have not compressed the academic activities. You discover that the school was meant to resume between the 8th and 15th of September, and now the school now resumed on the 22nd of September, just about
2 weeks.
Difference. So what the proprietors did now in the state was to adjust the calendar. Instead of the 8th or 15th week, which adjusted it to 22nd. Then we now advised our members, especially from the national body, now wrote to us that we should advise our members we should curtail all unnecessary holidays. Like some schools, maybe would put some holidays for their own reasons, best known to them. And also now advise us that we should avoid the issue of midterm break.
Okay.
From this midterm break, now we can get 1 or 2 days to measure up. So we have prepared the academic calendar for this academic year, which we have forwarded to the Ministry of Education for the approval.
Okay.
Now with this, they'll match it with theirs and come up with something. But if theirs is delayed, we are now working with the one we have prepared, pending when the Ministry of Education will come up with theirs.
Probably the students had a good time or enjoyed spending more time at home. I was reading about school administrative softwares the other day. For those who might not have heard of these, they are modern-day systems that are able to provide an effective approach to managing administrative tasks, student information, and even monitoring students' performance. So what is the position of private schools in JOS regarding the deployment of this software, given that they can be deployed to any school, regardless of whether the school is private or public?
We are very much aware of this. The organization that are providing this have met with us. We're in line with their program. We are making sure that we inform our members to queue in to the new program, because we cannot be left behind. Those of them from western part of Nigeria, like Lagos, Abuja, they have already queued into this system. If we in this state do not follow up, it's going to affect the performance.
Okay, so you're in the process, but you haven't started using it yet.
Some have started using it.
Okay.
You know, these schools are different schools. Some have already started using it. We are very much aware that some have started using it. As I'm talking to you now, we are waiting for approval from the national body. Another group have come up with a software that comprises past questions of over 1,000 past questions and textbooks contained in a software. Instead of these children using their phone doing other things, they use it to read.
Okay.
So the private school are into that.
All right. There is a situation whereby some schools, mostly private, have resumed while others are yet to. Is there a plan to synchronize the school's calendar somewhere down the road, given the different resumption dates?
No. As I told you earlier, we are working with the Ministry of Education. We don't work in isolation. Anything we do, we communicate with them and get advice from them. So we have, as I told you, we have already prepared our academic calendar, waiting for the approval from the Minister of Education.
Okay. When faced with disruptions in students' or pupils' learning schedule, how do you effectively bridge the gap that this creates in the learning process for the sake of your pupils? For instance, during the extended holidays, a school in Jos distributed emergency study kits to their students weekly in order to keep them busy at home during the mandatory closure. Wouldn't you agree that this is an initiative schools in general could learn from?
It's a good one. It's a good one. But remember, there's nothing you do about school you do not involve parents. You understand?
Certainly.
Yeah, if you sit with a PTA and give them this idea, if they buy it, why not? But it is not compulsory that you must do that.
No, it's
there
not,
but
are you open to the idea that it's a good suggestion?
It's a good suggestion if parents buy the idea. The school system is about two people, parents and...
it's left to you to give them the idea and
good,
have them buy it.
Good. If you give them the idea and they say, oh, this is fantastic, remember, all this is go with finance. Because the school that has done this have not done it without getting something from the parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today we've been talking to Mr. Joseph Nwoke, President of the National Association of Private School Owners, Plateau State Chapter. It's been enlightening. Thank you very much for being in our program.
Thank you very much for inviting NAPS, the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools. We are very happy, the PRO TV and also Nasco, for giving us this opportunity to create awareness. Like you said something about soya. Soya being educated, it depends on what you mean by education. Education is not the same thing as literacy. Reading and writing is different from knowing what you're supposed to know and applying it when you're supposed to apply it. So private school proprietors in Plateau State know what they're doing and apply it when it is necessary.
All right then. The fight against the Ebola virus disease has been successful. However, we continue to urge you to observe the basic preventive measures such as washing your hands under running water with bleach or soap. We each have a responsibility for this. It's been another very interesting episode of your favorite radio talk show, Nasco Moments, and we thank you for listening. Before we come your way again next week, stay in touch with your favorite household brand. Visit www.nasco.net and follow Nasco on @Nasco Group. The Nasco Moments show has been brought to you by Nasco, and it was created by Unimark Limited Marketing Communication Consultants. Executive producers, Nasco Marketing Department. Producers, Harun Audu and Joshua Tallman. And I am your host, Hudung Gyang. Nasco, providing a quality life.